So, welcome everybody. Thanks for showing up and putting this investment in your business. As you know, we've kind of been talking about things that can help you scale your business. And that's what Tiffany's going to talk about today, a little more systems that will get you more transactions with the same amount of work. But on that uh, same series, we've got some exciting things coming up over the next few weeks, and we have a lot of new programs that are going to help you do more work easier, quicker, with less time. And with that, to talk about Maestro, I'm going to turn it over to Tay.
Hey, everybody. Thanks, David. Appreciate it. Hey, we are 19 days away from the launch of Maestro when we've got our first agent training. The managers are going to be in training the week before to get up to speed. And a lot of us, David and I, have been in Maestro meetings. It seems like every day for the last 3 or 4 weeks as we are on track to launch in 19 days. It's pretty exciting stuff. Hey, you have probably seen some emails from Melanie, myself, your branch managers about that it's coming and some stuff to do with the schedule. Make sure that you're connecting with your branch manager to get a hold of the training calendar. They do have access to that if you haven't seen it already, and make sure that you're putting that in your calendar to attend. I highly recommend that you attend those in person. There is nothing like learning in person with your peers in a space where everybody's kind of going in the same direction. You'll have the opportunity after the sessions to kind of debrief on what you learned, ask questions, make statements about, hey, how can we use this and be efficient with this new system? And your managers will have that live for you for each of those trainings. There'll be additional trainings that we will be adding over the month of August. So if you do miss one, I get it, it's August. But just remember, this system is how we are going to be transacting going forward. So it's imperative that everyone is able to jump on and be a part of that training. I was just in there yesterday playing with Lucy, who is which is the AI platform within the ReChat CRM. It's really amazing to have AI integrated with your CRM. It does so many things. And it's been fun to kind of poke around in there and do those things. Remember, this is a system that everything is in one space. You don't have to go out of your Maestro platform to do anything anymore. So at any rate, with that, I just want to say thanks again, like David said, for investing your time into this training today. And without further ado, I'm going to hand it back over to Tiffany Johnson, the branch manager of our Eugene office. Thanks, Tiffany.
Yes, thank you. Okay, let's get this QR code up so you guys can get some CE credit.
So if you're from Oregon, make sure that, especially if you're in a room like in Eugene, make sure you take a picture of this. That way you will receive continuing education for this. Unfortunately, not in Washington because it's only an hour, not 3 hours, but Oregon realtors, make sure that you click on that.
Okay, is everybody ready? How long should I give them to click the QR code there, David?
I think you're good to go.
Okay. Here we go. Hello, everyone. I'm Tiffany Johnson, the Managing Principal Broker for the Eugene branch, and I'm excited to host this class today. To give you a quick background, I've been a licensed realtor here in Oregon for 23 years. I originally grew up in Maui and moved to Eugene back in 2001, and then began my real estate career in 2003. Over the past 2 decades, I've owned and operated my own business, which is ultimately what led me here to my role today. Tay recruited me, and I'm so grateful that I actually did, decide to dissolve my company, took a few of my agents with me, and I'm honored to manage this beautiful team that you see here. This was at one of our Christmas parties. And when I'm not wearing my manager hat, I am a single mom of 3 amazing kids. If managing a busy real estate branch and raising kids has taught me anything, it's taught me grace, and it's forced me to learn how to solve problems with calm confidence. And as you can see, I'm not really that calm right now because I'm nervous about teaching a class. But that is why I wanted to teach this class, because in our industry, keeping our cool when things get emotional or overwhelming isn't just a habit. It's absolute secret to protecting your business and your sanity. So with that, let's dive in to see what we're covering today. Today, we're going to focus on communication, basically, as a tangible business tool. First, we're going to learn how to read personality styles so that you can adapt your communication in real time. Second, actionable ways to reduce friction during the heat of a transaction. Third, how shifting your professionalism acts as a vital tool for risk management and liability protection. And lastly, how to spot timeline red flags early so you can solve problems before they turn into a full-blown crisis. Let's dive into our first objective, reading personality styles. And I liked this quote, people buy and sell differently because people process trust differently. Okay, here we go. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever had a client where you walked away thinking, why was that conversation so difficult? Maybe they wanted every single detail. Maybe they interrupted you every 30 seconds. Maybe they couldn't make a decision, or maybe that the decision that they made in 5 minutes and you're wondering if they even thought that through. Because most communication problems aren't actually communication problems, they're personality problems. We naturally communicate the way we like to communicate, but our clients don't process all the information the same way. Personality influences how people make decisions, handle conflict, and build trust. Some people want facts, some people want relationship, some people want speed, some people want certainty. If we communicate with everyone the same way, we're going to connect with some people and completely miss others. So today we're going to look at 4 common personality styles, but I want to make it clear people are rarely just one personality style. Most of us are a blend of 2, sometimes even 3, and depending on the stress or the situation, we may lean into a different style. The goal today isn't to put people in a box. The goal is to be able to recognize the communication preferences they're showing us. Different communication styles aren't the problem. The inability to adapt is the problem. Sound good? Okay, let's start with the first personality, the driver style. This is definitely me. Raise your hand if you've ever had a client who says, just tell me what I need to know. That's your driver. Drivers are fast-paced. They care about results more than the process. One of the biggest mistakes agents can make is giving drivers too much information. Drivers don't want every detail. They want the executive summary. And I put kind of an example for agents on there just because you want to kind of adapt your personality when you're working with an agent on the other side. Of course, we know our clients a little bit better because we're interacting with them more often, but I would definitely say you should try to figure out who you're working with on the other side, because it'll help you adapt and be able to communicate with them better. My favorite thing about expressives, the next slide, is you'll know who they are within about 30 seconds. They're energetic, enthusiastic. They will tell you about their vacation before they tell you about the house they want to buy. They're buying emotionally first and logically second. Expressives want to feel heard. If you're all business, they're going to think you're cold. So you want to connect with them first and then transition into business second. They may forget exactly what you said, but expressives will always remember how you made them feel. I guess that's kind of true for everything. I mean, we all kind of remember how people make us feel. Amiable styles. I think every realtor loves an amiable client until it's time for them to make a decision. I would also consider myself a driver and amiable. So there you go. Now you know that there's a mixture of all of these different personalities, but typically when people have a lead that they have. Amiables value relationships. They want everyone to feel comfortable. They're loyal and trusting, but they hate conflict. So that could be difficult if somebody's, needing to solve a problem. Amiables don't need pressure. They need reassurance. They don't remember how quickly you answered the phone. They remember how safe they felt working with you. Analyticals. If drivers want fewer details, analyticals want all the details. They're careful, methodical, logical. They don't make quick decisions because they want to make the right decisions. When they ask you questions, they're not questioning your expertise. They're gathering information. And this one's hard for me sometimes because when somebody's questioning me, but I just have to realize or remember that they're just gathering information. And the more information you give them, the more confident they become. The biggest mistake with analyticals is interpreting their questions as mistrust. Questions are how they actually build trust. With analyticals, patience beats persuasion every single time. So, does anybody have any questions? Okay. So now that we've talked about the 4 personality styles, here's the big question. Do I have to become 4 different people? Of course not. You don't change who you are, you change how you communicate. There's no one-size-fits-all approach to communication. Every client comes to us with a different personality, different priorities, a different way of processing information. But the best agents don't expect clients to adapt to them. They adapt to their clients. And that's why I really like this platinum rule that I put on here. Treat people the way they want to be treated, not the way you prefer to be treated. So that's adapt. When you're talking with a driver, be brief, action-oriented. With expressives, match their enthusiasm and build rapport. With amiable, slow down and provide reassurance. With analytical, bring facts and the data. Long explanations frustrate drivers. Pressure shuts down amiables. Vague answers lose analyticals. And if you're overly rigid with expressives, they'll feel like you're checking boxes instead of connecting. And why does this matter? Because when clients feel understood, they trust you faster. And when they trust you faster, there's less miscommunication. So think of every presentation, every showing, inspection, negotiation. It's not just a real estate conversation. It's a communication exercise. Think of it that way. Okay. The formula for closed transaction. Think of this as your business roadmap. First, we have to read the personality of the person across from us. That'll help us determine how we communicate. When we communicate clearly, we project true professionalism. When you combine the calm presence with time management and you protect your milestones and pull the deal across to the finish line for a successful closing.
Tiffany,
Yes.
you've lost your screen sharing.
Uh-oh. That's not good.
There you go.
Okay. Okay. Am I back?
You're back.
Okay. The power of effective communication. Strong communication builds trust, clarity, and confidence throughout the transaction.
So could you go back a couple of slides? We've got a request for that.
Yeah. This one?
One more. There you go.
All right. Do we have a question?
Amy asked to go back a couple of slides. So go ahead. Go on
Okay.
as we go. And we'll have these available for people
I can also, share these. And I was told that it's being recorded.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Okay. core principles of communication. Clients don't just want information, they want to feel heard. Let's break down the 4 areas where your professionalism matters most. These 4 communication principles apply to every client, every transaction, every single time. So if you can master these 4 things, you'll eliminate a huge percentage of your problems that you face. Okay, first, clarity over complexity. We work in an industry full of jargon and slang and all this, but we use words every day, but our clients don't. So you need to make sure you're dumbing it down. And second, consistency builds trust. Clients don't expect perfection, they expect consistency. Third, set your expectations early. Most frustration doesn't come from bad service, it comes from unmet expectations. And lastly, proactive outreach. This is where great agents separate themselves from the average agents. Average agents communicate after something happens. Great agents communicate before clients even feel they need to ask. So your goal should be to communicate before your client thinks they need to hear from you. When you do that, clients stop wondering if you're working. They stop filling in with the blank assumptions, and they start trusting that you've got everything under control. Guiding versus reacting. Clients don't just want information, they want to feel guided. Present options, not problems. The most effective agents don't tell clients what to do. They help clients understand their choices and make informed decisions. How do you communicate when problems arise? You definitely don't want to be a reactive person. Calling the client immediately, a panic. We've got a huge problem. Your financing fell through. I don't know what to do. That's terrible. So you want to guide, you want to take a few moments, understand the situation, explore your options, and then call them with a calm explanation and a path forward. Guiding doesn't mean hiding bad news. It means leading people through uncertainty instead of inviting them into your stress. And yes. Any questions?
So we have one question in the chat. It says, how do you handle each category when it comes to like inspections? I mean, how would you differentiate those?
As far as it would depend on your client. So, if you're dealing with somebody that's analytical, you want to get the bids or I guess explain that question a little bit more, David.
Well, I think it comes from Melissa. I've got to rat her out here. It says, how do you handle each category with inspections?
Look at them. They're laughing at me.
So if I'm an analytical, let me.
David called me out.
Yeah. So if I'm an analytical, how would you, what would you do to, here's the inspection. It needs some things, but none of them are structural. How would you handle that to get them to move on?
I would read the entire report, break it down to security, safety, compliance, those types of things, and sit down with them and go over it, and then probably gather bids because they're going to want to know, what is this going to cost?
Right.
Yeah.
So you would examine the information and give it to them and let them chew it over and then make their decision.
Yep. So. Patience, gathering the data, giving them all the numbers, all the things that they're going to need to do, and maybe even, the vendor list of these are the 3 people that we're going to call. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Oh my gosh. I love this one so much because I'm a driver myself. So I'm like, let's get to the point. And I've actually been told that sometimes my emails are too brief. And that's why I like to use emojis, because sometimes they can come off blunt or short or direct. And that's definitely not my intention. But so that's why I use emojis. That's where they come in. So anyways, poor communication is one of the biggest complaints clients have. But the difference between good communication and simply sending too much or the wrong type of communication. The goal isn't to flood people with information. It's to provide the right information at the right time in the way that helps them make decisions. A seller does not necessarily need to know every single thought process happening behind the scenes. They need to know what happened, what does it mean, what are we doing next. Too much detail can actually create anxiety instead of confidence. I actually had a client years ago, this was probably 15 years ago, and I thought I was doing the right thing, following up, giving them, updates, calling them. And at the end of the day, he told me that he felt like I was putting him on an emotional roller coaster, which, ouch, that really hurt. But the truth hurts. And it taught me a very valuable lesson that they don't need to hear from us. And we definitely should never call them until we have a solution to the problem. And one of my favorite sayings, and I say this all the time, don't trouble till trouble troubles you. That doesn't mean we hide problems from our clients. It means we don't create anxiety by bringing them every possible scenario before it's actually even a real problem. Our job is to gather the facts, look for solutions, and then communicate clearly. Clients hire us to reduce uncertainty, not to add to it. Again, I rarely call a client in a moment that the problem arises. I call when I understand the issue and I can offer solutions or next steps. Okay, reduce uncertainty. Buying and selling a home is one of the most stressful events in a person's life, of course, and clients will rarely say to us, I'm feeling anxious about this transaction. Instead, they will say things like, have you heard anything? What do you think? They're not asking for information, they're asking for reassurance. So notice the quotes that I put on the side of the slide. Instead of saying, no, I haven't heard from the lender, you could say something like, I haven't received an update yet, but that's normal at this stage. I spoke with the lender yesterday and everything appears to be moving forward as expected. I'll follow up again tomorrow and keep you updated once I know more. Do you see how the second response answers the question and also addresses the fear? The first response could be even worse if you talk negatively about the lender, like, I've only spoken to him once, but I've contacted him 3 times and I'm concerned too. He must be a terrible lender. I can't stress this enough. This is very serious. It's important to protect your client from feeling negatively towards the other side. You always want to protect them from that because it just trust me. Time consideration. Okay, this is a good one, you guys. Every client and transaction is different. Communication will vary, and be mindful of the timing of your calls, texts, and emails, and always respect the schedules and boundaries of clients and fellow agents. Just because someone responds after hours doesn't mean they're available 24/7, nor should you respond if it's after hours. But if you're worried about forgetting to text back, you can use scheduled send, which is going to be on my next slide. So we'll talk about scheduled sends. Because if you're not facing a deadline or an emergency, an immediate response isn't needed. Turning a non-issue into an issue is emotionally draining on the client and the other agent and yourself. And I always remind everybody that nothing in real estate is life or death. Also, people don't need to know that you're busy at a kid's track meet. It's acceptable to say, I'm in a meeting until 3:30. I will call you at 4. All they need to know is that you'll respond within a reasonable amount of time with accurate, confident information. And don't forget, some things don't need to be communicated immediately, especially if there's a problem. Remember, always find a solution or a couple of solutions before you get your clients involved. Okay, who uses scheduled send? Here's a screenshot. I want you guys to teach yourself how to use this. This is on your email. You can screenshot it or figure it out after the class. Lifesaver. This is also a lifesaver. I use scheduled sends on my text all the time because I get a text at 11 o'clock at night, and I don't want my clients to think it's appropriate to text me at 11 o'clock at night. But I am awake, and it's going to take me 2 seconds. It's a quick response. It's via text. So all I do is I type my message out. I hit the share button, hit the little scheduled send, find the date or find the time, do it at 8 a.m., 9 a.m. the next day. And then I hit send, out of sight, out of mind, got it done. And then I don't have to, but my client always knows as soon as, it's appropriate, it's an appropriate hour, they know Tiffany's going to respond. So anyways, I would definitely protect your peace. And this will save your marriage, because if you don't teach your clients that it's not appropriate to text you at 11 o'clock at night, your husband's going to hear your phone going bing, 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 and he's going to think you're cheating on him. This actually did happen to me, because I got a text at 2 o'clock in the morning, and my husband at the time said, "Who's texting you at 2 o'clock in the morning?" "Oh, just my client." And so that was when I didn't learn how to create boundaries, and I didn't know about these wonderful scheduled sends. So definitely utilize those. Work-life balance. Okay, the contract conflict zone. Contract clarity is not just about what is written, it's about what is understood. The ambiguity spectrum, ways contracts fail. At its core, a contract has one job: to clearly communicate what each party will do, what they won't do, and under what conditions. The problem is contracts are written words, and words are interpreted by people. The human factor. The challenge is that each side often believes their understanding is obvious. The buyer thinks, "Of course, this is what this means." And then the seller thinks, "That's not how I understood it." And suddenly we're not dealing with a contract anymore. We're dealing with assumptions and emotions. So the vague is the language that sounds clear, but leaves room for interpretation. Example right there. If you put in, the home to be professionally cleaned, does that include the carpets, the garage? And then there's the omitted. Something important was never addressed. The contradictory. Two parts of the agreement don't line up. So example, like one section says one thing and another section suggests something else. You can see that little example down there. And then reasonable time problems. This is one of the most dangerous phrases in a contract. Within a reasonable time. It sounds helpful, but reasonable depends on who you ask. What is reasonable for one person may not be reasonable to another. So don't fall into the assumption trap. It's always better to verify than assume. A 5-minute conversation today can prevent a 5-day dispute later. So if you don't know, if it's not clear, it's okay to ask. I would rather somebody say, "Did I understand you correctly?" Or to clarify that, much better. And then let's do better bulletproofing our addendums and using clear, competent verbiage. Check your grammar, your spelling, proofread, and think to yourself, just if a neutral third party, a judge, reads my addendum and he asks himself, "What does that mean?" It needs to be rewritten. And we have no excuse with the amount of technology we have and the amount of support that we have. If you're having a hard time drafting an addendum or need verbiage or you're not quite clear, you have a wonderful team of 19 brokers, David and Tay and I. So just reach out, because that's a big deal. Okay, the real deal killers. What is visible above water is what people think kills a deal. Below the surface is actually what kills deals. More often than not, the real issue is a communication breakdown, an assumption that was never verified, an emotional reaction, or a conversation that was never had or documented. And let's be honest, people frequently interpret the same words differently. What seems clear to one person may sound completely different to another. The best agents don't explain information, they confirm understanding, adapt their communication style, and document conversations clearly. Great agents solve the problem below the water, not just above. Any questions? Okay. Professionalism, the consistent practice of integrity, accountability, and respect in every interaction. Professionalism is more than being polite. When most people hear the word professionalism, they think about dressing appropriately or being courteous. But professionalism means responding promptly, setting clear expectations, communicating respectfully, following through, documenting conversations, using a professional tone and language when communicating. Our clients rarely remember every detail of the transaction, but they do remember how you handled problems, how you communicate under pressure, whether they felt informed, whether they trusted you, and if you were easy to work with. Four areas of professionalism that matter most. Let's talk about the first area, emotional control. This one's probably the best. This one, if you guys can master this, you're in great shape. If every agent absorbs every single emotion in a transaction, they completely lose their ability to lead and stay in control. And actually, I'll be honest, when I get a frustrating call or a highly charged call from a client or an agent, and I can start to feel my heart race, I know that that's my physical cue that I need to stop and not communicate with anybody. I need to calm myself down, lower my heart rate, figure out a problem to my solution, feel sorry for myself a little bit, like, oh, no, I'm just teasing. But if you can do that, then you're going to be in good shape, because let's look at the unprofessional example on the slide. You'll see this agent lashes out. Your buyers are being unreasonable. And the natural human instinct is to fire back defensively. Well, maybe your seller should have disclosed the issues. When we do that, we enter a defensive trap, and we're no longer solving the problem, we're fighting each other. Instead, separate facts from feelings. And then now let's look at the professional example. I understand there's strong feelings on both sides. Let's focus on inspection items and work toward a solution. Much better. As professionals, our job is to be the steady anchor of the transaction, not the storm. The next one is communication discipline. In our industry, chaos usually stems from a lack of clarity. When an agent goes dark or when details are vague, anxiety spikes. Communication discipline means controlling the narrative and setting expectations clearly so nobody is left guessing. Let's look at the unprofessional example. One agent is trying to track down an important timeline. Hey, did your seller sign the repair addendum? And the response they get is chaos. Oh, I'm out showing property. My assistant was supposed to handle that. Let me look. Think about how this makes the other side feel. It shows zero control. It shifts the blame to the assistant. And worst of all, it provides absolutely no timeline for a fix. Instead of a vague excuse, the professional example establishes boundaries and a definitive timeline. So you could just read it real quick. I'm currently with a client. I'll have an executed addendum over to you by 5. Perfect, right? Notice that the professional agent didn't drop what they were doing immediately. they're busy showing property too. But because they gave specific time-blocked commitments, the other agent can relax, update their clients, and trust that the deal is on track. The third area is professional presence. Transactions rarely go smoothly or perfectly smoothly, but our value as professionals isn't measured when things are easy. It's measured by how we carry ourselves when things go wrong. Professional presence means being the calmest person in the room so your clients feel safe, even in a stressful situation. Let's look at that unprofessional example. A $20,000 appraisal shortfall hits the table. The agent completely panics. Oh my gosh, I'm panicking. The deal is basically dead. And look at the response. I knew that appraiser was going to be a nightmare. Honestly, the lenders in this town have absolutely no idea what they're doing lately. And really, what does that accomplish? Absolutely nothing. It blasts the clients with anxiety, over-explains the problem to deflect blame, and then bashes industry peers. It completely destroys the client's confidence in the entire process. So now let's look at how the professional agent handles the exact same bad news. The appraisal came in $20,000 below the contract price. I am already reviewing the report for any data discrepancies and pulling 3 recent neighborhood comparables. Let's set up a call at 2 to discuss our options moving forward. You see the difference? The professional agent delivers the bad news clearly without sugarcoating it, but immediately follows it up with an active plan. They show up with driven authority, and they don't just call to report a fire. They call with a fire extinguisher in hand. Okay, last, accountability. This is where leadership is tested because mistakes are going to happen. Deadlines are going to get missed. Files get delayed. But true professionalism isn't about being perfect. It's about what you do in the moment something goes wrong. If you hide from a problem or look for someone else to blame, you lose all credibility. And you guys can see the unprofessional example on the slide. A critical financing contingency deadline was missed. The other agent calls, why wasn't the extension sent over? The immediate knee-jerk reaction is to deflect. The buyer's lender didn't give me the approval letter on time. It's not my fault. They can't clear the file by the contract date. Notice how defensive that sounds. Even if the lender was slow, pushing the blame downward doesn't fix the contract breach. It just makes the agent look unaccountable and unreliable. And now let's look at the professional example. Instead of making excuses at how they completely own the situation and protect the relationship, you are correct. The financing extension should have been in your inbox yesterday morning. That oversight is entirely on me. I am sending the signed extension over right now, along with the updated lender pre-approval letter to ensure we remain on track. You see how different that sounds? It takes ownership, and by saying that oversight is entirely on me, you completely disarm the tension. You take accountability, deliver the solution immediately, and show the other side exactly how you're steering the ship back on course. Any questions? Okay, next I want to give you a universal filter for every communication. Before you hit send, ask yourself these 4 things. Is it factual? Is it necessary? Should it be documented? And most importantly, would I be completely comfortable reading this out loud in front of my principal broker or judge? If the answer is no, rewrite it. And actually, I would also say when you're drafting an email, it's so important to proofread it, because when you do this, trust me, proofread your emails. The baseline of our reality is that in every transaction, the market will shift, deadlines will get tight, problems will appear, clients will get highly emotional, but pressure does not create the problems in a transaction. It simply reveals how those problems are handled. Anyone can look like a professional when a transaction is easy and smooth, but true professionalism is only tested when everything is going wrong. That's true. Okay, timelines. Most transactions do not fail at the finish line. They fail in the timeline gaps nobody is actively managing. Where deals quietly fall apart. If you're not actively managing the timeline is managing you. Track your timelines closely. Do we want to read some of these common breakdown points? Inspection period ends without clear direction or response. Appraisal ordered is delayed or not followed up on. The lender conditions sit unreviewed for days. You guys can read through these. But what makes the timeline problems dangerous is they're usually invisible at first. They feel minor in real time, but they compound quickly near closing. And then they often surface too late to fully correct. So, and then you'll see the early warning signs of a timeline problem. We're just waiting on becomes the standard update. Most failed closings don't happen suddenly. They happen gradually through unmanaged time. Do you want to, David, do you want to share Mo's win with that agent that missed his financing timeline?
Yeah, I think that's one of those things that we need to remember how deals quietly fail. Part of it is not being cognizant of the changes that happen within forms. So in Oregon, a big change happened in one of the forms that we use, and they started having a financing contingency that ended before the end of the transaction. It had always gone throughout the transaction. We had a deal that failed, and it was a week past the financing contingency, and it was kind of humorous in retrospect. I talked to the principal broker of a rather large company in Eugene, and we talked about it. He said, "Well, I don't think that's right." He said, "It goes to closing." It's like, well, you really should read that. He said, "Well, I think we disagree. I'll get back to you." So he hung up the phone, and 3 hours later, we had the check for the earnest money. And that's solely because they didn't take time ahead of time to realize where all of the contingencies in a transaction were. And that's a great big one, but there could be little small ones that come up as we go along too. So you really have to have a complete knowledge of the contract that you're dealing with, because they're not all the same.
And they make these huge changes. So that was because that was a brand new update that ORIF made, that the financing contingency doesn't go to the end of the transaction. So those updates periodically throughout the year, those form updates, those are one of the most valuable classes and information that you guys can utilize and go to. So you should always be attending those form updates. And you need to know both of them. So, okay, let's move it on. The agent's job, own the clock. Timelines don't manage themselves. Agents manage the timelines, and that's why we get paid the big bucks. So if you're not actively leading the timeline, someone else is, or no one is, and both creates risk. So you can kind of see, what professional agents do. They track all their contingencies. They know every date without looking it up. You could put it in your calendar, print, however you need to track it, but you definitely need to keep all parties aligned in the same timeline. And it prevents last minute extensions, escalations, client anxiety from uncertainty, other agents taking control of your timeline, and delays. Okay. Reactive versus proactive agents. Reactive agents manage problems after they appear. Proactive agents reduce the number of problems that appear and know how to handle them when they do appear. So you'll see those examples. Reactive agents manage problems. Did the appraisal come back yet? Proactive agents manage time. And then the impact of a proactive behavior: fewer surprises, lowers your client's stress, stronger trust, smoother escrow flow, greater control over outcomes. Definitely don't be reactive. And then professional agents don't wait for urgency. Oh wait, this is not the correct notes. The 48-hour rule. Hold on. Oh. So this is a good rule of thumb. So if you haven't seen movement or heard from somebody in 2 days, it's a good idea to probably follow up, because in real estate, silence creates risk, and waiting on the other side is not a timeline. So when momentum stops, you should start to communicate. And these are some of the bullet points I put that what qualifies for a 48-hour attention, but that should be pretty straightforward. And we're getting close to the end, so I'm going to try to urgency without panic. As you all know, real estate moves quickly, and there are always moments where timing matters, but there's a big difference between creating urgency and creating panic. Great agents know how to move a transaction forward without transferring stress to their clients. You can read the unprofessional urgency looks like, results of panic-based communication, professional urgency, how professionals keep urgency calm. Panic-based communication comes from fear. It creates unnecessary anxiety, and it makes the clients feel pressured instead of guided. And it can lead to rushed decisions. Controlled urgency gives people the information they need to make confident decisions. Communicate the timeline, explain the options, make a recommendation, and then let your clients decide with confidence. Core skills of closing. Successful agents don't close more transactions because they have fewer problems. They close more transactions because they manage problems more effectively. So your personality will help you understand the person. Your communication will help guide the person. Your professionalism will help navigate and inspire confidence. And timelines help you move people forward. The agent who consistently gets deals closed are the ones who bring clarity when there's confusion, confidence when there's uncertainty, and professionalism when there's pressure. Controlling the uncontrollables. Let's face it, we deal with 100 moving parts. You can't control interest rates, appraisals, or an uncooperative agent on the other side, but you can lead with empathy and try to understand the unique stress your clients are under. Always consider your tone. When a home inspection comes back terrible, your calm demeanor dictates the client's reaction. If you panic, they panic. Focus strictly on solutions. Again, never call a client just to drop a problem on their lap. Call a client when you have the solution to the problem. Protect your timeline because contract deadlines are enforced. So staying ahead of the contingency dates is controllable. That is a controllable thing. You will always face difficult people, difficult negotiations, and last-minute title surprises. Accept that. Stop trying to control the external chaos and master your own communication, your own professionalism, and your own process. That is how you protect your clients, save your deals, and preserve your sanity. Okay, that's it, guys. Quick recap. Oh my gosh, I did it. I hope that was okay, guys.
You did great.
First class.
You did great, Tiffany.
It was great.
I think one of the things that, especially the last part where you talked about, what you control and what you can't. And, one of the things I've always heard is you control your controllables. And that's a lot of what we're talking about here is controlling the things that you can. And the other thing that I always think about was I worked with my father for a lot of years. Um, and but when I was a kid, I might have had a short temper. And one of the things my dad told me when I was really young that stuck with me is I was trying to make excuses for my behavior when I was angry. And he said, "Well, son, how you react says everything about you and nothing about the other person." And that's one of the things that I've always tried to live up to and remember how I process and how I put things out there always should be respectful, and it should reflect the integrity that I feel I have and what I should have. So it doesn't matter what goes wrong on the other side or what they say, that professionalism is good. So, well, thanks everybody.
Thank
I hope
you.
I hope these are helpful for you. Remember, if we always have a course evaluation, so take a shot of that. Let us know how we did. Also, look for the emails that you've coming from your branch leaders on Maestro training. There is a tremendous many ways for you to learn. There will be virtual, there will be in-person trainings. I love the virtual because we've got a big footprint, but there's also something to be said for coming in, having hands-on, and sharing with your community in your offices. So that's all we have this month. If you have any questions on anything, let us know, and we'll get the slides out to your branch leaders. And have a good rest of your day.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.